the second time in 3 weeks, Friday Night Frisbee invades the capital city of Ultimate. Here at Free Stevens Field in Madison, Week 11 of the 2026 UFA season. We're winding down, just 3 weekends left before the playoffs, and tonight it's a potential playoff preview. The Indianapolis AlleyCats and the Madison Radicals. Evan Lepler Charlie Eisenhood welcoming you to Frisbee on the fourth weekend here in the Ultimate Frisbee Association. Charlie, happy Independence Day to you. And we're back in Madison for the second time in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and, you know, last time we see them against Salt Lake, a game that was interesting. You know, we kind of come into that. You're thinking, where are these teams? Now we get a playoff preview game. An Indy team that desperately wants to get a win, and it certainly will help their playoff chances if they get it tonight.
It's funny because you look at Indy's record, you said they're 2-5. How is this a playoff preview? But in the Central Division, they are tied with Pittsburgh in third position. Chicago has Minnesota tonight, has New York next week. That's likely the 7th and 8th losses for Chicago. It's possible that the playoff team in the Central in third position could finish with 8 losses. But all season long, we've kind of been waiting for the AlleyCats to be the team that their roster looks like they're capable of being.
Well, the talent is unquestionable. The chemistry, the youthfulness, that's been more of an issue. And keep in mind, for those 5 losses, 2 losses to Minnesota, 3 losses to Madison. They have not lost to any of these bottom teams in the Central. They've just had a kind of a front-loaded schedule. Assuming that they take care of business and they beat the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds in their 2 upcoming matchups, they're probably going to be the 3rd team in the playoffs. But the thing is, for this AlleyCats team and the expectations that we had for them coming into the season with the players that they have on this roster, Elliot Hawkins, Jake Felton, Cameron Brock back on the team, it's not enough just to get to the playoffs and lose to Madison at Free Stevens Field. They need to prove tonight that they can go out and get a win against this Madison team.
And the best news for Coach Nathan Busberg is they've got their guys back for the most part. They played Madison in Indianapolis last Saturday, and it was the Smalley Cats. I mean,
Yeah.
they were not the team that they expected to be. Tonight they get Elliot Hawkins and William Wettengel and a lot of other key playmakers back. And this is probably the strongest squad they've had against Madison this year. But they're 0-3 against the Radicals. And Madison has won every fourth quarter. They've been the better team situationally. They've been the better conditioned team late in games. They've had better chemistry and better coaching. So how, in your mind, do the AlleyCats flip the script tonight?
Well, it comes down to taking care of the disc better and playing throughout the game with the kind of energy and intensity that is necessary from the start of the game. And, you know, we've seen from them at multiple points where they clearly have a higher ceiling than Madison, and they've been ahead in most of the matchups. You know, I kind of throw out the game from 2 weeks ago or from last week, because it just doesn't really matter that much when you're playing with a skeleton crew and not having your normal roster. Tonight, both teams are close to full strength. I think this is a chance for Indy to prove that they can play disciplined ultimate. It's funny, both teams need to do kind of a little bit of the opposite thing. Madison needs to take more chances. Indy needs to take fewer.
We are doing our pregame from the booth because there is a chance of thunderstorms. We expected thunderstorms about 30 minutes ago. That never really materialized. There's another cell with a lot of lightning that is just to our south. We're hoping we can dodge it. You're the meteorologist of the Ultimate Frisbee Association. What are your predictions for the weather here tonight?
True fact, my father was a meteorologist, studied meteorology in college, and was on television for about 30 years as a meteorologist.
Well, I knew that, and that's
osmosis,
why. Yes.
By osmosis. I think it looks okay. I think the big cell is going to miss us to the south, and there's a little small cell that's going to miss us to the north. I think we might get some rain, but I'm crossing my fingers we're going to miss the lightning.
All right, let's talk about the Radicals. There was not a lot of preseason hype about Madison, certainly compared to Indy. And yet they're 5-3. They are in second place. They are in pole position to host a playoff game here at Free Stevens Field again in the second year under new head coach Jacob Spiro. And this is a team that I think is starting to find its identity, and they're getting a couple key players back tonight, Charlie. Sterling Kanaki, one of the last remaining members of the 2018 championship team, been out since the end of May. He's back in the lineup. Noah Chunmoy, a member of the New York Empire when they went to championship games earlier this decade. He is back tonight. They're also getting Mac Weber making his season debut. And Spyro told us that in his first practice back, he was like the best player on the field. So they're going to work him back in there, but we expect to see Mac Weber on their D-line. That's going to start the game. And those are key players for this Madison team to reach their ceiling.
Yeah. Kanaki's going to come in and give their defense a big boost. Chun Moy probably playing D tonight, but I would imagine we're going to see him on their offensive line in the playoffs. He's probably the most dynamic thrower that they have on the roster. So I think he's going to kind of help them with some of the things that have been a problem for them. Is that when they can't just work the unders, sometimes they just break down and they can't really get things going offensively.
Well, this is a Madison team that absolutely dominated the Central Division for years. They went to championship weekend 6 seasons in a row from 2013 to 2018. 8 weeks from tonight, championship weekend will host the title game right here at Breese-Stevens Field. And yet the Radicals have not played at championship weekend. They've hosted it a bunch, but they have not played at championship weekend since they won it all back in 2018. Here's the full league playoff picture as we head down the stretch. Next Saturday night, huge game. First place in the East versus the top seed, one of the 2 remaining undefeated teams in the Central. The Minnesota Wind Chill are hosting the Boston Glory. That will be free for all fans to watch on UFA YouTube. And that is going to be an epic. I know you're high on the Wind Chill. We've seen Boston go on the road and win at New York. Where do you lean when you think about Boston at Minnesota next Saturday night?
It's going to be an absolute classic. We don't usually get such an amazing cross-divisional game in the middle of the UFA season. You have to wait for Champ Weekend for a game like this. I think, the Glory have a lot more to play for. The Wind Chill can lose that game, and so it doesn't really affect them finishing first in the Central. Obviously, both teams are going to be motivated to win. The Glory need to win that game if they want to win the East. New York has a very easy schedule. They're likely to win out, and they have the tiebreaker against Boston. I think it's a toss-up. I think Boston's a slight favorite just due to the motivational edge.
And you said it. Boston does need to win. They lose a head-to-head tiebreaker with the Empire, so if New York runs the table, finishes 10-2, and Boston loses at Minnesota next week, that means Boston has to play that extra playoff game and go to New York for the East final rather than host. Other big games coming up tomorrow night. Second place in the West is at stake. Seattle is at Salt Lake. And then next week, undefeated Austin goes to both Carolina and Atlanta. They play the Flyers on Friday, the Hustle on Saturday. And there's a lot of interesting ultimate ahead.
Listen, don't count out the Apex. I mean, there's teams in desperation mode. Apex have Seattle this weekend. They need to win that game to try to keep any glimpse of playoff chances alive. Obviously, they still need to beat Oakland if they're going to get there. But they got to start with this one against Seattle.
All right, let's set the scene. Time for the national anthem here at Breese-Stevens Field. Modern day Chuck Mangione, Matt Grindy, one of the many talented musicians on this Madison Radicals squad. Of course, Coach Ben Gagnon-Maynard played the anthem on his guitar a couple weeks ago. Today, Grindy on the trumpet. And I was a trumpet player in high school and college, Charlie.
Can you give us a review then?
It was fantastic. It was
fantastic.
Far superior to my best effort at anthem would it be. Before we get ready for the opening poll, want to talk about one guy we haven't mentioned yet tonight in our pregame show. And that's the all-time leading scorer in the history of the league. Cameron Brock has been around since 2012. He spent 1 year with the Atlanta Hustle last year. Aside from that, he's played all of his 176 career games as an AlleyCat. He's got 214 more goals than anybody else. He's just 16 scores, goals plus assists, 16 scores away from 1,000 in his career. He's a living legend, and he's still an important player for this Indy team.
I mean, he has been rock solid for them on the O-line this season. He'll catch the under, and he is not the best thrower in the league for sure, but he can throw a 40-yard away pass, and he doesn't turn it over very much. There's a reason he's got 310 career assists to go along with those 674 goals. He is a veteran presence on a team that really needs it, and I talked to him this week. He said that they have all the talent that they need to make a run in the playoffs. They just have to figure out how to harness some of these young college players and get the best out of them.
He's played in 176 of the Indianapolis's 190 games all time. AlleyCats looking for their 99th win in franchise history here tonight in Madison. It's a place that's been a house of horrors more often than not. We'll see what happens tonight. Frisbee on the 4th in the capital city of Ultimate. Coming up. Back in the preseason, very few teams in the entire UFA had more hype than the Indianapolis AlleyCats. But through 10 weeks, Indy has struggled to find consistency. And while it was easy to overlook Madison back in early May, now the Rads are seemingly on their way to hosting another playoff game at Frisbee Field later this month. Tonight, we launch this holiday weekend with Indianapolis and Madison on Friday Night Frisbee. Next. Anthony Gutowski and the Madison Radicals back home for their fourth and final regular season showdown against Elliott Hawkins and the hungry Indianapolis AlleyCats. Week 11 of Friday Night Frisbee here in the Ultimate Frisbee Association as we launch this Frisbee on the 4th holiday weekend. Welcome everybody to Breese Stevens Field, this beautiful 100-year-old stadium in downtown Madison, alongside Charlie Eisenhood. I'm Evan Lepler, and Charlie, Madison has won the first 3 meetings against Indy, but the AlleyCats are looking to change the story tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about proving it to themselves than anything else. You know, even if they lose this game, they can still run out against Pittsburgh and Chicago, and they're going to make the playoffs. But you don't want to go into a playoff game at Madison, never having won here this season, going 0-4 against them this year. They need to step up, play a full 4 quarters, and prove that they can actually beat this team.
And Madison coach Jacob Spiro said, this is a really important game for us. We'd much rather face a team in Indy in the playoffs that we beat 4 times than a team that we went 3-1 against, but has shown that they can win in our house. And look, Elliott Hawkins is the key for the Cats. He has been dominant against Chicago. He had 7 throwaways in his 1 game against Madison. What do you want to see from this 20-year-old phenom tonight?
I mean, the talent level here is just nuts. I mean, look at these throws. Backhand and forehand. Ridiculous thrower at a super young age. I mean, still in college and able to play at this level in the UFA. It's amazing. We're not showing you his turnovers, though, and that's been part of the issue for him. You know, he's averaging 7 assists a game this year. That's crazy in this league. But he's also turning it over 3.3 times per game. That's a little too much in the UFA, and it's been a challenge for this team in general. But Hawkins has got to be that guy.
There's a chance he matches up with Anthony Gutowski. He's been one of the top goal scorers in the league the last couple of years, but Madison switched him to D-line. Gutowski's been all in on that role, and he's been producing at a pretty high rate.
Well, hey, you know, you bring a great offensive player over onto your defense, and all of a sudden, your D-line looks pretty good when you get the disc. And, you know, you look at the numbers, and it's maybe a little misleading because those are often from the O-line, but he has been a great crossover player. He's played selflessly to switch over to D-line, something that a lot of players wouldn't necessarily want to do. And he's putting up great numbers for this D-line, and he's there for them when they need to bring him over onto the O.
4 games since switching to D-line. He's got 12 goals, 2 assists, and 7 blocks. And those blocks have helped the Radicals as well. Let's talk keys to the game for both sides. They are presented by Victory. Let's talk Madison first here on their home field back at Breese.
Well, for Madison, it's about continuing to get that more dynamism on their offense. You know, they've been a team, they are still the lowest hucking team in the league, and that's after a couple of weeks where they've actually started to put the deep ball up a little bit more. We need to see that continue to develop for them if they want to have a chance to do anything in the playoffs. Then they need to just let Indy take the shots that they want to take. Take away the unders, let them take those shots, because they're going to put it up, and you have the defenders to go down and get blocks. On the other side of the disc, Indy, we've already talked about it. They've got to prove that they can actually compete for 4 quarters and get a win here. And it's about the energy, the effort, the intensity. They are one of the worst O-line defenses in the league. When they give the disc up, they're bottom 5 in the league at letting the other team get the score. That's not about skill. The players on their O-line are very good ultimate players. They need to play with focus and intensity. And that's going to be what it comes down to tonight. Those are your keys to victory.
The warm-up jerseys for the AlleyCats don't have the players' names on the back. They have the word compete. And that's what Nathan Busberg has been trying to will his team to do. Eric Scherstrom, Pierre Robert, the rest of the Radicals are trying to go 4-0 at home. Or trying to go 4-0 against Indy for the season. Opening poll, Frisbee on the 4th here in Madison. Coming up next. The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at vktry.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at drinkdelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebrations. Find yours at twotownciderhouse.com. And Disc-It. Round Net meets Ultimate. Disc-It is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at discitgame.com. Set for the opening poll. The Madison Radicals at 5-3. Can basically lock up a home game in the playoffs with a win tonight. The Indianapolis AlleyCats, they're 2-5, but they're still tied for the final playoff spot in the Central, and they're ready to show their ceiling tonight and try to think they can be a contender for a Central Division title game in Minnesota. Who knows? Victor Luo ready to launch the opening poll. The Radicals' D-line starters include Luo, Pierre Robert, who's been incredibly productive all season long, Jeff Mascalunas, Kelson Alexander, Noah Peterson, Mac Weber making his season debut, and Anthony Gutowski, who set the franchise record for goals scored each of the past 2 seasons. Opening pull goes out of bounds, so Indy's offense starts at the brick. Their O-line features 2 Hawkins brothers, Carter and Elliott, both out there. It'll be Jonathan Mast, the longtime Pittsburgh Thunderbird, initiating. Sofiane Bontemps, the Belgian, who was with Chicago last year with Cameron Brock, and Jacob Felton, the former Mechanics flamethrower, starting for the AlleyCats.
Last time these 2 teams played here in Madison, it was quite windy. Tonight, very still, almost no wind to speak of.
Seth Gudeman as well, one of the captains of this AlleyCats team. Elliott Hawkins looking for his first assist of the night, and he's got it. A strike to the Belgian import, Sofiane Bontemps.
Well, another player who just has such an incredible ceiling. Bontemps has been just killing it in Belgium, playing for various club teams and the national team, and he's piling up the stat sheet here in Indianapolis, but he's also been another player who's having a few too many turnovers. Good start for the Indy offense. Clean hold.
They had 6 throwaways, Bontemps did last week against the Radicals. In a game where the AlleyCats weren't themselves, they were missing a lot of key pieces. One notable change is we see Indy's D-line out there, Kai Creed launching the pull. William Wettengel, who's played almost exclusively on offense this year, starting on D tonight, and he's one of the best young defenders in the world, so I like this move for Indy. He's trying to lock up Madison's Ian McCoskey on this opening possession. Max Sample comes underneath, floats it. Gabe Vordick. That is off the fingertips of Nico Ranabot, but he saves possession on the second effort. Overall, pretty good pressure from the AlleyCats on this opening D point.
Yeah, already almost forcing a turnover. Nothing coming easy.
Back to Ranabot now. It's Sample, the big man. Sample had a season best 5 goals, winning the matchup against Wettengel when they were on each other late mid-June, the last time these two teams played here in Madison. Fordick in the end zone to cap the opening possession, the assist from Ranabot.
A little tougher than Indy's point to start things off, but Madison, thanks to this save from Ranabot, able to continue down the field. A couple of nice shallow breaks, opening up that easy break side score. To win starting to pick up here as we do have storms coming into the area tonight, so keep an eye on that.
Ominous looking clouds overhead, but so far so good. Indy scores in 58 seconds and then Madison just over a minute. Noah Chunmoy back on the field for Madison, as is Sterling Kanaki. Those are two guys that haven't played since late May. Elliot Hawkins hunting his second assist. Jake Felton going deep, but it's a block for Madison's Mitchell McCarthy.
What a play. I thought that was a sure goal to Felton, and McCarthy finds a way to get a fingertip on it.
McCarthy was questionable coming into today with a mild calf strain. Looks like he's feeling all right, Charlie.
Yeah, full sprint chase down block.
Opening break chance, a bobble, but possession preserved in the end zone. We talked about this in our pregame show. Indy has really struggled to get the disc back after their O-line has turned it over. In the words of their head coach, they've been historically bad at stopping breaks. Jake Carrico shoots for Gutowski, and Cameron Brock elevates for the block.
The vet against arguably the best player on this Radicals team comes up with the play.
Felton saves possession, and now he will launch. And it's way overthrown, looking for Elliot Hawkins.
Well, just like that, it's 2 deep turnovers for Indy.
Jacob Spiro trotting down the sideline. He is prepared to call a timeout pretty quickly here. This is the D2 line for the Radicals. And he didn't call timeout yet. And now the Radicals have something cooking. Lead forth to the middle of the field for Chunmoy. Noah's played a lot of offense, so they're comfortable with him having the disc. Here's Dante Buckingham up the line, and he overthrows Chunmoy. And Noah forced to lay out. It was that right shoulder that he hurt against Minnesota in late May. Gets up a little gingerly.
Oh, it's straight to the sideline. That's not what you want to see if you're a Radicals fan. Hard to say if that was the shoulder issue. Might have just gotten the wind knocked out of him, got shaken up, hit the ground pretty hard there. And he was wide open. Buckingham just missed the up line. Should have been a break for Madison. 3rd chance now for Indy.
4 turnovers on the point. Radicals have missed a couple of break tries. Nathan Busberg has been frustrated with the choices of their team, but he won't be displeased by that missile. An absolute perfect put. Elliot Hawkins to Cameron Brock, 2-1 Indy.
I mean, you see why they want to take the deep shots. They can do this. Well, not this. This is just a great play from McCarthy. Take another look at this. Chase down, out of position, gets the block. Felton maybe should have gone up earlier. And then some bobbles going the other way. Brock able to tip it away. And then just a total misfire. But Hawkins then on a platter to Brock in stride. That is, the margin on that throw is so small. It is crazy to throw that with that accuracy from that distance.
Cameron Brock on that point gets his 61st career block and his 677th career goal. Been in the UFA since the league's first season back in 2012. The AlleyCats are the only remaining original team from that 2012 season, playing their 191st game tonight. Brock has played in 177 of them, including this evening. Sam Stark didn't really run through, but he was fortunate to use his body to shield away the defender. Of course, those 177 games includes Cameron Brock's performance last year with Atlanta. He was here at Breese Stevens Field playing at Champ Weekend, where the Hustle fell to the Central Division champs in a thrilling semifinal. Minnesota back atop this Central Division, the team that both Madison and Indy are chasing right now. Vordick working with McCoskey. Very different feel to the Madison handler core this year. Vordick mostly a cutter last season, same with Ronabat. Ian McCoskey was in and out of the lineup, but these three guys have worked pretty well together. And this is basically just a dominator. Ronabat, Vordick, and McCoskey playing 3-on-3.
You really couldn't have two more different looking offenses than these two teams.
It's true. Oh, a lefty backhand from the big man. How about Max Sample showing the style, connecting with Pierre Robert.
Pierre understands. He's like, get this camera off me. Get this on Max Sample. He's going lefty with it. Ooh. Okay. I didn't know he had that in the bag.
I don't know if Pierre Robert knew he had it either.
Getting the assist. And, I mean, you can see why Madison is dead last in the league in hucks per game, 4.6, and Indy is #1 with over 9. And we've seen it in these first couple of points in this game, how stylistically different they are.
I was talking with Tim DeBile yesterday, Charlie, who's now the UFA commissioner, along with still being an assistant coach for the Radicals. And you think back to the first decade of Madison Frisbee, they were the trendsetters strategically in the early years of the UFA. And for years, so many other teams were trying to copy what the Radicals were doing tactically. Well, Tim told me after watching Boston at Championship Weekend last year, they really tried to implement a lot of the Glory's offensive strategies, their Jeff Babbitt-induced patience into what they're doing, and we saw it on that last point.
Yeah, a lot more dominator, a lot more possession focus, and it's worked pretty well for them. I mean, the talent level is not, you know, not the highest in the league, but they have a very high floor as a result of the way that they're playing.
Hawkins looking for his third assist in 3-0 points. He's got it. Another big night seemingly coming from Elliot Hawkins.
I mean, his brother Carter knew to just check the hammer slot. I mean, he looks up over his shoulder and there's the disc coming in perfectly. Another beautiful throw from Elliot Hawkins.
This is feeling a lot like that game in late May when he had 15 assists against Chicago in his season debut just a few days after playing in the college semifinals with Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, the talent level is undeniable. When he came in as a freshman at University of Colorado Boulder, I mean, it was apparent immediately that he was one of the best players on the team, and that's rare for a rookie in college. And you can see why there was so much excitement about this Indy team at the beginning of the season. To say they've, you know, underperformed, it's almost an understatement. I mean, well, they should be better than they are looking at the players on their roster, Evan.
And all of their losses, all 5 of them, have come to Minnesota and Madison, the two teams ahead of them. Ronabot launches long. Jack Nelson, end zone, denied. Jack Gall there for the block.
Nelson wants a call, is not going to get it. And Nelson was way in better position here and has the height advantage. And I think that's just good defense.
Gall plays bigger than he is. First break chance for the AlleyCats. D-line conversions have also been a struggle at times. Nate Little ripping it long. It's going to stay in bounds, and it's going to be a break in the end zone. Jake Wall, just his third goal of the season, and the AlleyCats take the 4-2 lead.
The thing is, the aggressive deep attack from Indy just puts so much pressure on defenses. You can't let anybody get behind you because they will just put it up and they will hit it. They have the throwers to do it. Now, you're going to get the disc from them a lot too, but if Indy can play good defense with both of their lines, they can afford to have some of those deep turnovers. Beautiful shot from Little to Wall, and they get the game's first break.
Indy now 3 for 5 on their hucks.
A little barbecue on the sideline.
Why not? Madison 0 for 2 on their deep shots so far. James Pollard playing on his third different team in as many years. From Philly to Minnesota, now to Indy with a pull. It's been a relatively quiet season so far for Pollard. And Madison's looking long again. It's Sterling Kanaki, and he's denied. Great block in the end zone from Carson Chamberlain.
Look at these deep blocks tonight. Holy smokes. Chamberlain getting huge for the takeaway.
Chamberlain coming back from an injury, made his season debut last week. Pollard reads the big swing and then rips it long. Isaiah Mason going deep. But Carrico there to ensure there'll be no chance for the catch. Bombs away for the AlleyCats tonight. Well, that's been their strategy a lot. Gutowski narrowly catches the under against Wettengel, and the foul called on Indy's young big man. Once again, Jacob Spiro standing in front of the AlleyCats bench, closest to the sideline referee. But he knows the numbers too. That Indy typically has not done a good job getting the disc back when they have turned it over. This is a Madison O point with their O prime line on the field. Victor Luo. Off Mascalunas' fingertips. A shaky start for the Radicals. And Indianapolis has back-to-back breaks and takes a 3-goal lead. Jeremiah Branson in the end zone.
Well, you're seeing more of that stagnation from Madison. And a technical foul called on Branson, maybe for the spike at the end of that play. It just, you know, they're not getting any rhythm offensively on some of these points. And credit to Indy. They're just playing good, tight matchup defense. And there's Branson. That's why he got the tech. It wasn't the spike. It was the wiggle at the opponent.
Third member of our broadcast crew down on the sidelines tonight is Garrett Pogg, who has covered the Central Division for years, the voice of the Radicals here in 2026. Garrett, curious to ask you generally, what were your primary thoughts coming into the game tonight? You've seen both these teams this season.
You know, it's been one of those things where both of these teams view this as a must-win matchup. And we talked to head coach Jacob Spiro coming into the game, and he said, you know, when teams come to Breese Stevens Field, they play better because they are able to feed off the energy. And we've seen that from Indianapolis so far. The bench over here has been super hype through turnovers, through good decisions, bad decisions. They've continued that energy, and it's powered them to a 5-2 lead.
All right, Garrett. Yeah, that's certainly true. You know, we talk about the value of the home crowd for the Madison fans, but visiting teams also get really hyped to play here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the #1 venue in the league.
What do you call it pregame? The Madison Square Garden
I
of
did.
the UFA?
I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad you understand that that's the Mecca.
Just tell me Mitchell Robinson's going to get 15 boards a game for my Celtics. Eric Scherstrom is going deep. He doesn't do this very often, but maybe he should do it more. Nico Ronabot with a dime to Scherstrom, the new deep threat for the Radicals.
And you know what? This is exactly the kind of thing they need to do. Release a player who's typically hanging out as a mid or in the backfield and get rewarded. Ronabot, he's got the throws. So give him options deep. Be more dangerous in the deep space. Great point there for Madison.
Eric Scherstrom playing through injuries, 30 years old, out of Auburn, was the Callahan nominee for Etos back in 2019. He has been the team's best hucker. Hasn't been that many times the deep receiver, but beats his men there, and Ronabot puts it on a platter. So that snaps the 3-0 Indy run. AlleyCats offense back on the field. You know, I said I like having Wettengel on their D-line, but they do miss his size as a downfield target on offense. As I watched them tonight, there have been a couple times when some of these deep throws, I'm like, well, if that was Wettengel, he makes that play in the end zone.
I think it's a worthwhile trade-off when you have the throwers who can throw to space and don't need to throw jump balls.
Elliot Hawkins hasn't had a chance for an assist for a while. Last one came with 4:45 to go in the quarter. He's assisted in all 3 of Indy's 0-point scores so far. From Louisville, Kentucky. And this is a super dump, swinging at the same time to his brother Carter. Seth Gudeman slithers it downfield, and then Felton to Bontemps. Soph is inbounds for Indy.
I mean, when this Indy team looks good, they look really good. That's a beautiful point. I mean, Hawkins with a difficult cross-field swing to get them out of trouble. Then Gudeman with a beautiful inside break. And then Felton right where it has to be on the line. Bontemps keeps the toes in as he steps out of bounds. Just fantastic stuff from the AlleyCats on that one.
20 seconds left on the first quarter clock. Indy will pull to start the second quarter. The big bodies, Wettengel, Pollard, Little, all out there bracing for a last-second shot. Of course, Madison's got the biggest guy on the field. That's 6'7" big man Max Sample. Sample is jogging downfield as the pull flies. Center to Vortic. Middle of the field, McCoskey gains yards. Under 10 seconds. Nelson takes the shot. Intercepted by Wettengel. He's got time, but nobody's going deep, and he'll just hang on to it. And the AlleyCats 0-3 on the season against the Radicals. Double up Madison here in the first quarter tonight. 3 assists for Elliot Hawkins, a couple goals for Sofiane Bontemps. And Indy looking a little bit more like the team like we thought they could be. Of course, they're trying to do it for 4 full quarters. Done with 1 in Madison, 6-3 Cats. It's a muggy Friday night in Madison and a slow first quarter for the Radicals. They trail 6-3. Madison has not been a prolific hucking team all season long, and that has continued tonight. Just 1 for 4, Charlie, in the first. Indy has 3 huck turnovers as well, but they've also got 3 hucks that have been successful for Elliott Hawkins.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even counting the swing as a huck, which it was. I mean, the thing, as we look ahead in the game, right, the Radicals have won the second half and especially the fourth quarter in these matchups with Indy pretty consistently this season. And it's why they've come away with these 1-goal wins. Indy's got to give themselves some easier points. Like, they look amazing when they're hitting these crazy throws, but you can't do that all game. You're going to slightly miss those sometimes. They need to have some points where they can just hit the unders and make it a little bit easier on themselves. But they've opened up this lead because they have the dynamic throwers that Madison doesn't.
We were just looking at the radar in between quarters. Our chief meteorologist, Charlie Eisenhood, thinks we're going to dodge the worst of it, which might be bad news for Madison because a little wind, a little ugliness weather-wise might help them out.
Yeah.
Scherstrom launching for Nelson. Beautiful shot floating perfectly into the breadbasket. 19 seconds into the quarter. Madison strikes.
Well, when there's no wind, this is what you get. You get both teams able to open it up. Scherstrom catching the huck earlier. Now he sends it deep. Beautiful shot. He's got his hand up, walking off to the sideline in the background. That's a beauty. Well, Nathan Busberg, Indy head coach, told me before the game that the AlleyCats, they just simply play a lot better when the weather is good. Like, beyond just the standard differential that most teams play a little bit better when it's good conditions and it's not windy, they play a way better. He said they're the Sunshine Cats, and they're trying to work on not being so reliant on having good conditions. But this is a team whose heritage is playing indoors. For many years, they played their home games inside. And maybe that's still a part of their identity in some ways.
Well, Charlie, the first time during the game tonight, we do have some light rain falling. Hawkins, undeterred, throws another brilliant shot to Sophie Bontemps. Picture perfect stuff. 4th assist for Elliott Hawkins.
I mean, Bontemps, one of the best pure receivers in the UFA. He's got steps. Why not throw it? I mean, there's no wind to speak of. Just put it on a platter, set it out there, easy score. Beautiful stuff. I mean, Hawkins, he is on fire. We could just do a halftime highlight package of only Hawkins.
Charlie, I think you were producing a UFA game in New York on the Friday night that Elliott threw 15 assists, May 29th against Chicago. I'm curious, when you first heard Elliott Hawkins has 12 assists or Elliott Hawkins has thrown 15, like, what was your initial reaction when you saw that stat line?
Well, I was blown away. But on the other side of the token, I know he's capable of something like that. And if he's being given the green light, which clearly he is, he can make it happen.
Stark has the green light. He connects with Vortic. Drizzle continues to pitter-patter, and Madison continues to score. Scherstrom with his 2nd assist of the quarter to Sample. That's 3 goals in 63 seconds to start this 3rd quarter.
And we're just
2nd quarter, excuse me.
Deep shots are rolling right now. And you see the flag over Sample's shoulder there. It's not swinging in the wind. Little rain could make things a little trickier for the throwers.
So Elliott Hawkins and the Indy offense back on the field. That 15 assist game was the most assists anyone has thrown at a game this decade. The previous best was Atlanta's Austin Taylor. He had 13 assists in an overtime game in Pittsburgh in 2021. The league record belongs to former Tampa Bay and Jacksonville Cannon Cole Sullivan. 17 assists a decade ago for the Cannons. Pressure there, but Felton handles it. Elliott Hawkins, you know where he's looking. He'll find Brock wide open underneath, who gives it right back. Jonathan Mast has made a career out of not being a hucker, but being a steady anchor handler, maintaining possession for the Thunderbirds for a better part of a decade. Into a double team, but Bontemps rises up. Oh, and that throw left Cam Brock's hands. It looked like it could be a turnover, but Bontemps makes the play for his 4th goal of the night.
Ooh, climbing the ladder that time. Bontemps doing a little everything downfield.
And Cam Brock wanted that throw back when he left his hands.
I don't think that's the one that he really wants to throw, but to be fair, he put it to a spot where Bontemps was really the only one who could make a play on it. Still, I think he would rather just hit the reset next time. But look at Brock, over 100 yards receiving and throwing.
And Bontemps, who had 6 throwaways last week, 4 goals in the first 14 minutes tonight. Nathan Busberg telling us that Bontemps has been a seamless fit. And he said something interesting, Charlie, which I think is true. He said that international players, when they get to play in the UFA, just have a different level of appreciation. As Scherstrom launches deep, this time it's Ronnebaugh going long, and he rips it down. Everybody's getting a chance to be a deep threat tonight.
Well, we started the game with all these great deep blocks, and then everybody just forgot to play deep defense. You know, the space is there, they're putting it up, and guys are making plays. Ronnebaugh normally sending the hucks, but this time he goes down and pulls it down, and Scherstrom dealing up a couple of beauties.
5 goals in basically 2 minutes to start this quarter. Ronnebaugh having a solid season for the Radicals. And Mitchell McCarthy getting ready to pull. Madison is a franchise looking for their 131st all-time victory tonight. Their 2nd all-time in UFA history. On Wednesday night, Charlie, the New York Empire, on a Wednesday night, New York won their 137th game all-time. They beat Philly on the road by 11. Little blade from Carter Hawkins to Felton, who gives it right back. Both coaches thought this could be a high-scoring game tonight with the conditions being what they are. And Sofiane Bontemps is trying to set some records, it seems, as well. He's got 5 goals. He's run out of fingers on his right hand to count.
He's got him counted for us, though. Is it almost a little no look here? I mean, beautiful little inside. And Bontemps just making himself available on the break side. And the throw, that's what he's doing, right? This is picture-perfect cutting when you have elite throwers on your team. You could go to a spot on the field that maybe wouldn't be available to some other players, but when people could just get you the disc, just find the empty space and attack it. And he's been the most productive cutter, not just because he's goal-scoring, he's just getting open in good places on the field.
He's young, he's hungry, he's got really good speed. As I was saying, when Ronnebaugh was going deep, he's got a different appreciation for playing in this league. You know, good American players, if they want to, can play in the UFA, usually no problem. But for good players coming from overseas, there's just a different level of challenge to get here, to find a role, to find a team. A lot of great players around the world that dream of playing in the UFA. Bontemps found a role with Chicago, the undefeated Union last year in the regular season. And now his 2nd year in the league with the AlleyCats, and the quick scores continue. Max Sample's like, where was the defense? Not quite an Alex Atkins reaction, but a little bit quieter.
Well, we're just ripping through this 2nd quarter with the scoring right now.
I mean, this feels like the 2015 UFA in a way, where goals would come fast and furious, and the clock back then didn't start until the pull was touched by the offense. Now the clock starts when the pull is released by the puller.
But we're at 16 points scored with over 8 minutes to go in this first half. Very high scoring. And the question the Radicals need to ask is, what do we need to do defensively? Because right now it's not really working. They've only gotten 2 break chances. And they can tell themselves, hey, we're forcing them out, and they're taking the shots, but the problem is they're hitting the shots.
The brief rain has subsided. Seth Gudeman. Back to Felton. Inside flick. Cameron Brock. Got it.
That is just another ridiculous throw. Jake Felton. Like the fall away forehand bomb onto the break side, and then just Cam Brock's job just kind of jog it out. Look at this throw. You kidding? This is a highlight reel right now from Felton and Hawkins and Bontemps.
Second goal of the night. Third score of the night for Brock, who's now just 13 scores away from 1,000 in his UFA career. He should get to 1,000 by the end of the season, especially if Indy can make the playoffs and get an extra game or 2. Don't think he's going to do it tonight, but you never know.
Yeah, the way this game's going.
Vordick kind of all alone in the backfield, gets it up the line to McCoskey. It's got Stark going deep, and Sam Stark rises up for the one-handed grab just shy of the goal line. Pierre Robert running with him. Robert practicing his refereeing skills.
Great patience, picture-perfect Madison offense there. They run Dominator, and as soon as the disc gets into a power position, there's a deep cut going. And the throw was honestly a little bit late, but Stark able to get up and make the play, had enough separation, and Robert there to clean it up for the easy goal.
They're saying we need some defense here. We need to put on some pressure. And this half, fighting hard.
Pierre might be a future broadcaster.
I could see it.
He's always got something to say, and the last time we were here, he said his birthday was coming up and he wanted my autograph, which was flattering.
And you obliged.
I did. I saw him at the brass ring after the game, and he asked me to sign a Pierre Robert Madison Radicals trading card. And I warned him that by my signing it, it would devalue it immensely. But he insisted, and it was a nice chat we had with Pierre in post game.
He listed it on eBay minutes later, Evan.
I'm sure it's just a hot ticket. Well, Madison had to do something differently. They start Indy on the sideline, but the AlleyCats get out of it pretty quickly. And then Felton throwing to a wide open Seth Gudeman. Too easy.
Blown coverage. I mean, just Gudeman snuck free, and that's the easiest hook they've had all night. There's just nobody home.
But before Pierre Robert talked about the fact that he wants to see some defense, I was going to ask you, and timeout taken by the AlleyCats after this last sequence. If you're Jacob Spiro of the Radicals, what kinds of things do you want to see to try to slow down this Indy offense, which is cooking with gas right now?
Yeah, I mean, they just keep getting beaten deep over and over and over. And at some point, you need to say, okay, we have to try something else. Let's see if we put a cap on the defense, maybe you run a zone even. I mean, anything to try to take away these rhythm deep shots and make them do something different. Because even if it just takes them 30 more seconds to score, maybe you can count that as a win. But right now, it's just way too easy. I mean, it's true for both teams. Both teams are getting exactly what they want right now on offense. Well, now have we even had a turnover in the second quarter? I don't believe we've had a turnover.
We have not. There were 9 goals and 8 turnovers in the first. There have been 9 goals, or actually there have been 10 goals and no turnovers here in the second.
interesting here to see the timeout, in between points from the Indianapolis AlleyCats. Well, Coach Busberg said that they like to try to sometimes stack a line, so they'll call a timeout between points and then put some players back out there who are already on the field.
They also have had a miserable time converting after timeouts called midpoint.
Yes,
that has been one of the sources of Busberg's frustration through the first 7 games of the season. Asked him after the Chicago game, the second one that they won, kind of pulling away late in the 4th quarter. I said, what were you most pleased by? He said, I was infuriated after that game. We were 0-4 out of timeouts. We were 1-6 on D-line break chances in the first half. Like, the coaches always dwell on the negative. Not always, but even after that win, he was not pleased with their level.
Always looking for improvements.
Wettengel's bid, foul, and Nelson is going to overturn it, says no foul. It looked like a foul.
Yeah, I mean, a little contact there, but you like to see him saying, you know what, that level of physicality, I'm okay with it.
Wettengel bids again and comes up empty a second time. Ronabot rips it long. Hanging. Vordic, the intended target, surrounded by AlleyCats, and it goes off his fingertips. And an AlleyCat defender, Seth Guterman, I believe, shaken up.
Yeah, just got rolled up on the last bit there. And that's not the huck you want. Finally, Indy's able to force a dangerous throw out of Madison.
I was wondering what the sound was. I think the fireworks have begun here in
the
capital city of Ultimate.
Let's get the weekend started. Most people have the day off today. It's Independence Day observed. Happy 4th of July weekend to everybody at home.
America's 250th birthday, and Indy gives away the break chance as Nate Little can't haul in the crossfield hammer. And Sam Stark quickly converts to Nelson.
A little frustration on the face of James Pollard there. They finally get the block here in the 2nd quarter. And immediately, first pass, give it away. And it's Hawkins going with the hammer. And, the idea is fine. But this is the thing. It's like that execution is hard to produce over and over again when you're sort of asking for these very high-level throws continuously. And, you can chalk it up and say, oh, well, it's just D-point. It's fine. We'll get him next time. But this is how Madison has hung around in these matchups in the previous 3 games in this season series. And they always seem to find a way in the 4th quarter to win the game. Roller. Changing it up. Both teams changing it up a little bit here.
We had our first turnovers of the quarter on that last point. Elliot Hawkins initiates. Not a double team, though, on the sideline. Just Robert on the mark. Here's Mast.
And that's more like it.
Swing to space for Bontemps.
Backhand break, swing it across. You don't need to throw a hammer.
Temperature has cooled off nicely in these last 15 minutes or so with the little drizzle that came through. Felton falling down, fires up the line and connects with Hawkins. First goal of the night for Elliot Hawkins to go along with his 4 assists.
And clearly a plan to try to double Felton. They got some pressure, but when you double, someone's going to get open, and that time it was Hawkins, and Felton did a nice job there to create some space and get that forehand into the end zone.
I mean, Jacob Felton in his time in the UFA has been a big playmaker, but he's also been the guy to give the disc away a good amount as well. Think about his time with Detroit. He had 124 assists in just 23 games, but he had 147 throwaways in those 23 games as well. He's got 16 throwaways in his first 7 games with Indy.
But, I was talking to Busberg about that, and he said, 2 seasons ago he had more than 7 throwaways a game. then last year he had around 5 throwaways a game, and now he's down around 2.5 to 3.
Yeah.
So improvement, but he still needs to get better.
And he's still just 23. Looking for Nelson. In the deep space, William Wettengel makes the block for the AlleyCats. And he is slow to get up beyond the end zone.
Well, this is what he does. I mean, he's been one of the best deep defenders in the league, and he got up and then went back down. And he's walking off under zone power. That's good to see.
Yes, yes it is. And this guy is just 21, from Southern Ohio. Was a high school soccer player of the year in his conference, second team All-State as a soccer player, in addition to leading his high school ultimate team to a state championship a couple of times. In Mason, Ohio, the site of a handful of college championships and world championships.
Yeah, he was on the under-24 U.S. national team, competed last year in Spain.
Foul called in the end zone, keeps the disc with the Cats. Young Kai Creed gets a touch. Youngster from the Vancouver area. Here's Connor Blaylock. To Little. Busberg jogging down the sidelines, clearly thinking about burning his second time out of the half. Timeout calling is no science. It is certainly an art. Busberg in his first year as the AlleyCats head coach. Crossfield hammer. It works. Why take a timeout when you can throw a 45-yard crossfield dime? 13-9. Indy breaks for the first time in the second.
And, you know, this is, you live with some of the turnovers when you've got guys that can throw that kind of throw. Jacob Felton dials up another beauty, and he ran that whole point. That's the thing. He finished the point with a great throw, but he used his legs to get open up the line multiple times, going every other to set up, finding that soft side space on the break side. Really well orchestrated there by Felton to get another break for Indy.
That's Felton's 5th assist of the second quarter. He has 6 assists in the game. He's showing up Elliot Hawkins is what he's doing. Hawkins had the first 3 assists. We're thinking, all right, Elliot's going to have another huge night.
He's going to sabotage the D-line soon so he can get back out there.
Felton and Hawkins combined 10 assists and 1 goal.
To be fair, Elliot Hawkins was on the point. They stacked the line after the timeout, and he was on the point and had the chance, and he turned it over.
Callahan country here. Victor Luo, crossfield hammer. William Wettengel back on the field, intercepts just shy of the Callahan, but he dishes quickly to Branson. AlleyCats. Everything working right now for Indy.
This is what we've been waiting to see from the AlleyCats. They have the players to put this kind of game together and be the clear #2 team in this Central Division. And frankly, compete with Minnesota for a Central Championship. Now, it's still 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. We got a lot of game in front of us. But this is the kind of thing that we've been waiting to see from Indy all year. Can they just put together a great game, start to finish? So far, so good.
This matches the AlleyCats' largest lead of the season right now.
That speaks to the inconsistency. You know, they've got a couple of wins. They've dominated Chicago.
Radicals were down 6-3 at the end of the first. They've been outscored 8-6 here in the second. Another Radicals turnover. Wettengel looking to pounce quickly, and that's on target to Jack Havey.
The Vice is squeezing Madison right now. Another point where they can't even get out of their own end zone. Wettengel putting the pressure on again. That time it was just a psychological block. Scherstrom just can't handle this one going towards the back line of the end zone. And Wettengel just picks it up, and another easy assist.
Well, it's kind of been a different iteration of Indy every time they face Madison. Think back to the first meeting of the season opener for both teams on May 9th. No Elliott Hawkins. And Indy kind of centered everything around Wettengel on offense. He had a big game, but the AlleyCats came up short. Madison scored the game winner late to win by 1. The next game they played, Elliott Hawkins making his debut in the series. He had a lot of yards, but also 7 throwaways. And Madison again won by a single goal. Last week were 2 phantom teams. Jacob Spiro saying it's great that we can win a game with our depth, but he knew that they weren't facing Indy's best last week either. This is pretty close to Indy's best, what we've seen through a couple of quarters tonight. Madison finally snaps the skid. It was a 4-0 run for the AlleyCats that all came like a waterfall pretty quickly in the span of 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, they had 2 very short field, very quick turnovers that led to those last 2 breaks. So Madison finally gets their defense back on the field, and now it's going to be up to them. They have only forced 2 turnovers from the Indy offense. They're going to have to pick it up. Beautiful night to enjoy the roof deck and watch the Radicals game. I think those seats are free too, Evan.
If you can get access. Gotta get here early, get a good seat. Final 2 minutes here in the second quarter. We've had 16 goals scored already in this second quarter alone. Bontemps by the sideline, back to Hawkins. Elliott to his brother Carter. The league's all-time goal-scoring king, Cam Brock. Had a lot of battles with Sterling Kanaki through the years. Carter Hawkins on the doorstep. Floats it to the space where Seth Gudeman is all alone for the score.
Well, in a very different looking score from Indy. Hard undercuts out of the vert stack, taking their time, switching the field, and they finish it with a little sizzle. But that's a grinding point, and those are the ones that they have not had that many of this season. They get a little impatient when they aren't able to kind of get that deep look early, and then they take some ill-advised shots. And I think it's why you're starting to see some adjustments, both from shot selection from the players on the O-line, but also from coaching decisions, like moving Wettengel over to the defense. As talented as he is as an offensive player, he can also be a little bit of a challenge to work with when he has the disc in his hands. And he was causing some issues for the offense, and so far that adjustment looks really good, as Wettengel has been a tremendous defender tonight.
Indy used their second and final timeout after that last score to be able to get Gudeman and others out there on this D point.
This is very different kind of tactic for timeout usage. I think it makes a lot of sense in the first half to give yourself an opportunity to give some guys a little rest, stack a line with fresh players, and try to go and expand this lead. You know, there's a minute to go here. If you can put the pressure on, force a turnover, and put in another break, I mean, you may have won the game in the first half. Big point here for Madison. Got to try to stay connected.
And Indy will start the second half on offense. And Madison's defense has created just one block officially so far in this game. It was McCarthy on the early deep shot. Roundabout with 45 seconds left in the half. Stark evades the big bid from Jake Wall. There was fears of thunderstorms tonight, Charlie. So far, it has turned into a really pleasant evening here in the capital city of Ultimate. Although the Radicals wouldn't mind hitting the restart button. They have had a tough time, both offensively and defensively, of staying consistent against these AlleyCats, who are hungry and don't want to lose to Madison anymore. They've lost their last 7 games against the Radicals. Final seconds of the half. Vordick into the end zone for Robert.
After all that work, Nate Little gives up at the end of that point and gives away the score at the last minute for Madison. I should say the last second. Great job by the Radicals to close this out. You just got to be tighter there on Robert. And a huge goal for Madison to give themselves a puncher's chance in the second half.
They have added 1 second back to the clock. I thought there was a second left. So Indy is going to get a chance here. These last second opportunities are a little bit more difficult ever since the pulling team gets to pull from 20 yards further up. But we know that this Indy team's got some gunslingers like Felton. James Pollard is out there. He could throw it or catch it. Certainly Elliot Hawkins has a cannon. Cam Brock, William Wettengel beginning the downfield sprint. Pollard is going to be the guy to take the shot. He lets it rip immediately. This is good if it goes. Max Sample judging it near the sideline. It fades out of bounds as Sample comes up empty. And that is the end of the first half. Here on Friday Night Frisbee, week 11 of the 13-week journey. Playoffs begin 3 weeks from now, with the third-place team in each division facing the second-place team in each division. These two teams could very well meet for a 5th time this season in 3 weeks. Indy has not beaten Madison yet, but this has been by far their best half.
By far.
Not just of the Radical series, but maybe the entire season.
Absolutely, the entire season. I mean, a complete performance. You know, sure. Did they have a couple of turnovers they want back? Yes. But they only give it away twice on offense. They go 5 for 8 on their break chances. They force some easy breaks. They show you that they can both hit some incredible hucks from their elite throwers, but also that they can win with their legs. And this is the kind of thing that they're going to have to do with consistency throughout the rest of this season just to get into the playoffs.
One of the highest scoring quarters of the season. Indy wins that second quarter 10-8. They won the first quarter 6-3. They lead at the half 16-11. And let's talk about it with the leading head coach. Nathan Busberg joins us now. Coach, thanks for your time. In your opinion, was that the AlleyCats' best half of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just happy to be talking to you guys. I don't always get this opportunity, so whatever you want, I'm here for you guys.
What stood out most to you about the way you weathered the early couple of turnovers, kept on shooting, and found your form offensively?
We're doing a really nice job creating space and angles, specifically when we're trying to hunt the sideline. There's obviously a lot of width. And the more we hit the sideline, obviously, Madison does a good job taking away hot space as a team. And then when we flip the field and flip the hot side, that then allows for leaders downfield on a one-to-one and hopefully we have steps.
Some superb throwing from multiple players on the team, including Jake Feld and Elliot Hawkins. Are these the kind of shots that you want to see these guys taking, given what they have in their bag?
Kind of like we talked pregame, it's tough to coach what a normal ability is versus what they can do. So I would just say all I'm looking for is completions, whether that's a 2-yard dump, 20-yard dump, or 30-yard leader, just a completion to keep possession alive and live to fight another day.
Nate, you've played in this league. You've been an assistant coach in this league. What's been the most surprising thing about your first 2/3 of a season as the head coach of the AlleyCats?
Nothing overly surprising because I try to run scenarios through my head so my expectation and frustration just match each other, so there's no boiling over, right? But I would say the hardest thing is, like, I just want it to win really bad for the guys. So every time we go through a hard moment, like, I just want it for them more than anything else. So tonight's a good start. Madison's not going to go away. They never do. And we're going to have to continue to punch and punch hard. So
yeah, how do you do that? How do you keep this energy going in the second half?
We got some new things. Jake Felton's been great on the sideline, and we've kind of tasked him to make sure energy is not only just up high, but like consistent and smooth. And he is looking for the right places to put the disc, not necessarily always in the end zone. So I'm very appreciative of that. And then we're having very well-timed continued cuts without drifting into the lanes that we want to cut in. So we're being patient, waiting for the moment, and then seizing it when it arrives.
Coach, we appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck in the second half. Thanks so much for joining us. Nathan Busberg coached college basketball for a couple of years. He coached high school track for half a decade. Now he's a professional ultimate Frisbee coach, and he's trying to get the AlleyCats in form as they head toward the playoffs. They got a 5-goal lead over the second-place Radicals here at the half. Frisbee on the fourth continues after this.
Are running low on time. Gaffair decides now's the time to go for it. Fur absolutely skies, and then from his seat finds Fuzat in the end zone. What a heads-up play from Fur to just leave his pivot on the ground after a remarkable skying catch with 2 seconds left.
Back in the end zone, so the Cats have to initiate it. Throw is a little bit wide, but Brock comes down with it. Now Felton, who's going for a hug try to Bontom, who's trying to chase the disc down, and he does! Sophie Bontom with a heck of a run down the field, and the Cats with a quick score to answer the Radicals.
That is a really tough throw and a tight window to hit. Jake Felton puts it perfectly. I didn't think that Sofian was going to be able to get there, but he really puts on the...
It's an incredible game-winning throw.
Here's Gould pulling the trigger, trying to send Jay Frood deep. He's got steps on Villeneuve, and Frood brings it down. That's why they put Jay back on offense. And the Marv Craig crowd comes to life.
Jay Frood, just a champion in this league, been doing it for years.
Moving and grooving here. Minute 30 left to go in the half, and Jay Frood comes flying out of nowhere to get the ball back for the offense.
I mean, just a superhero of a player. This guy's one of the old.
Out to space and a Forsberg! Alex Forsberg with the rejection. Big Foz coming up huge for the Salt Lake defense. Underneath. He wants to go deep to his college teammate, and he does. Fun battle here. Can Thorson get there? Yes, he can! He beats Michael Poe on the layout in the end zone for the Thor score.
And lets him know a little bit afterwards, too. I mean, what a throw by Brooks, and an even better rundown and reception by the Callahan winner, Thorson, there. And not the look that Atlanta's weighing.
I would have been one step to the left on that mark.
Mid-fake.
Look at that throw.
With the hammer right in the breadbasket to Seth Ferris.
I love this version of Nandam and Fink. I don't know where this has been all night, but like his eyes sharpened up. You know, it's like he had a shot of espresso or something after the halftime, and he's just out here looking a little bit different, looking a little more like I want to know what a goal feels like right now.
So, quick scoreboard check for your opinion on,
I'll allow it. Yeah.
On the East, and who you imagine to advance out of the East as we see another pinpoint hammer from Nanda Midfink cross field to Seth Ferris.
You can do that as many times as you want. Are you kidding? I mean, look at him. Does he look at all like he did in the first half? Look at how he's walking.
Off to the races. Sessum's putting it out there. Oh my goodness. Quinn Burmeyer. Give it back to him. Hey, the steal. Win the race to the end zone. Ben Thones gets the goal.
Burmeyer field, no matter how enticing it might be. I like the decision there by Cam.
There's the throw, back line. Chamberlain has no shot at it, or does he? Oh my gosh! Carson Chamberlain looked like there was no way he was going to catch up to that. And Chamberlain with his third goal of the evening.
And he faked us out in the booth. I thought there was no way on earth he was going to get that disc.
So Chamberlain with 2 goals in the first quarter, now 1 here in the second.
Leo Gordon now with the disc. Gene LaRue on the mark. Clyburn fighting for the upline space. And Chad Jorgensen with a layout block on the upline. Quickly. Selfridge looking for Holzmeyer, but it's swatted away. What a play defensively. Big layout block, and Carolina has a chance to break. Wilson Holiday is there defensively, but it's not enough. Drew Swanson with the bookends. What a couple of plays from Drew Swanson, and Carolina has breathing room.
Just as we started to think that maybe the game had calmed down and cooler heads prevailed on offense, an unbelievable layout block for the Flyers, followed by the immediate cross-field hammer.
This summer, Ultimate takes over the world. From the rising stars of World Junior Ultimate Championships to the seasoned battles of the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships to the biggest stage in Club Ultimate, the World Ultimate Club Championships. Watch it all unfold live, exclusively on UltiWorld.
Welcome back to Breeze Stevens Field here in Madison. The Radicals trailing 16-11 at the half after one of the highest scoring quarters we've seen in recent memory across the association. AlleyCats outscored the Rads 10-8 in the second. And Madison's still looking for their first break of the night, Charlie Eisenhood.
Yeah, the AlleyCats putting together absolutely the best ultimate we've seen from them this season. They're still a team that's going to be looking to hit those deep shots, but they were a lot pickier about when to go for them, and their throwers were just a lot more dialed. They looked more focused. Their defense played with more intensity than we've seen from both their D-line and their O-line. And just 2 O-line turns in the first half, that's pretty good. I mean, I don't think you can expect much better than that from a team that likes to shoot this much.
6 assists for Jacob Felton, 5 goals for Sofiane Bontemps, 4 assists for Elliot Hawkins. Indy begins this third quarter on offense. What sort of adjustments will the Radicals have made defensively to try to stifle this Indy O? Again, there's not a lot of wind tonight, and we've seen patient offensive teams slice and dice decent defenses by just taking their time and not forcing unnecessary shots. Bontemps floats it to space. Elliot Hawkins runs it down easily.
Bontemps was like, you know, let me share a little of the wealth and send you deep into the end zone with a perfect deep shot instead of you having to do all the work with your throws. So a beauty from Bontemps.
5 goals in the first half. Bontemps gets the assist. We got Garrett Pogg on the sideline. He's got an update on Indy captain Seth Gudeman. Garrett?
Well, you saw Seth Gudeman play on that last point. He rolled his ankle in the middle of the second quarter, and as he was getting taped up by the head trainer, he said, "Hey, are you done yet?" Like, he was so eager to jump back into the game. It looks like he's going to be in for the rest of the matchup.
All right, good stuff, Garrett. Did you hear anything else interesting during halftime on the sidelines?
Not so much on the Indy sideline because they were able to walk over to the locker room away from me, but for the Madison Radicals, head coach Jacob Spiro was urging for this team to up their intensity, and we're going to, I mean, we see all that on the last point. We'll see how it continues throughout the rest of the match.
All right, Garrett, thank you. The sun has ducked beyond the horizon, so no players or broadcasters will have to deal with the glare of the sun here in this second half. Foul called against the Cats in the backfield. Indy with its largest lead of the game, matching the 6-goal lead they had late in the first half. For Madison, will upping the intensity help? I mean, clearly Indy came out with good intensity. We talked about it on the very first point. We saw it from their D-line. Seeing it again right here, and it leads to a red zone giveaway.
To answer your question, I do think that it's going to help them, but it may be too late.
Two teams combined were 15 for 15 in the red zone in the first half. The first red zone turn of the night. And the Cats are off to the races. Wettengel for Gall. Wide open for the big dump, Connor Blaylock. And he will swing it for Wettengel. Indy could stretch the lead to 7 right here, Charlie. Wettengel slithers it through. Wall back to Wettengel. And Nate Little's in the end zone. These Radicals fans are stunned.
Well, they say it's hard to beat the same time 4 times in a row, Evan. And, you know, we're seeing both teams at close to full strength. Both teams have a couple of guys that they would like to have activated for the playoffs. There's no Xavier Payne tonight for Indy. A couple of guys still on the IR for Madison. But, you know, there's clearly been an energy differential, but there's also just a talent gap between these teams that was identified preseason. And it's why a lot of people, including myself, felt like Indy was going to be the second best team in the Central. And I think they're showing us tonight that they still might be that team. Long way to go in this game, long way to go in the season, but pretty good stuff so far from the AlleyCats.
Indy closes their season with 5 games in the final 3 weeks. They play on Sunday in Chicago. They're trying to sweep their season series against the Union. They beat them twice in Indiana. Now they try to do it in Illinois. Madison's on the board here in the second half. It's good to see Noah Chunmoy making something good happen for Madison.
Yeah, he's going to be a real key for them in the playoffs, I think, if they're going to make any kind of run. Good to see him looking fine after that bump he took in the first half. An improvement there for Madison in the red zone that time. Finding that weak side space. I'll tell you one thing, Evan. If these two teams do meet up again here at Breese-Stevens, which is still for sure the most likely outcome for the Central first round matchup, I think Madison's going to be rooting for some wind.
Well, there's a slight breeze, but nothing substantial at the moment. Brock coming underneath. AlleyCats as a team had 3 turnovers in the first quarter, just 2 in the second. Katowski comes up empty with a bid. Elliot Hawkins looking long, and he throws another dot to Cameron Brock. What can you do to stop that if you're Madison?
Well, what's wild about that is that 3 players went deep when Hawkins caught it on the sideline in power position. And it looked like it was too late. And then the throw up went up anyway to the furthest away receiver, going blade across the field, and it's perfect. You can see why everybody wants to cut deep for Hawkins and Felton, because they can just put it wherever they want.
The funny thing is, during the college season, Elliot Hawkins wasn't taking that shot that often for Colorado. It was Tobias Brooks, who's playing for the Carolina Flyers, taking deep shots to Zeke Thorson, the Callahan winner. And Elliot Hawkins was kind of like the other really talented guy on that college team. He's got a more clearly defined role with the AlleyCats, arguably, than he did on his college team.
I agree. I think that the open field here helps him as well. But it's also, you know, you're playing alongside the best player in college in Tobias Brooks. So you kind of have to take a back seat, and it's maybe sometimes frustrating for him.
It's like when James Harden was playing with the Thunder alongside Westbrook and Durant, and then he got traded to the Rockets and all of a sudden was putting up 50.
I don't think the Thunder fans are ever going to forgive that front office.
Well, it's, you know, they've won a championship since then, so that helps to heal the pain. Winning championships certainly heals pain.
It sure does.
Radicals know that. They lost in the semis or the finals 5 years in a row before they finally broke through on this field 8 years ago. But they have not played at championship weekend since. And they have not been the dominant team in the Central Division since. Indy went to championship weekend in 2019, snapped Madison's 6-year streak of coming out of the Central. Some of the best offense we've seen in a while from the Radicals, but trailing by half a dozen, even with 17, 18, 19 minutes left, they're going to need to be a little bit more efficient. And most importantly, they're going to need to figure out a way to slow down Hawkins, Felton, and this Indy offense.
What can they do, though? I mean, you can't play super tight on the break side deep shot because you're going to give everything else on the field up. And so it's kind of a tough situation for Madison because they don't really have great answers for when guys are making these kinds of throws. They got to try to get some pressure in the backfield.
Frisbee on the 4th continues tomorrow. Huge game in the West Division. Seattle at Salt Lake. Of course, Seattle's at Colorado tonight. Tough doubleheader for the Cascades. Next week, a couple of huge games. Austin, one of the 2 remaining undefeated teams, along with Minnesota, goes to Carolina. So they'll also play Atlanta next weekend on the road. And then next Saturday night, Friday night Frisbee, special edition on Saturday, when you have a rematch of last year's championship game between 2 teams that enter week 11 a combined 17-1. You show that game to the world. Minnesota, Boston next week.
Appointment viewing.
Hawkins zips it to Bontemps. Felton was calling for it. Bontemps looked there. Now needs a reset. Somehow even closer to the sideline, it's Elliot Hawkins who drops the hammer for his brother Carter. That was nose diving fast, but Carter able to make the play, and the AlleyCats back up by 7 with 6 minutes to go in the 3rd.
Another assist, number 6 for Elliot Hawkins, and that was better for Madison. They started to get a little bit of pressure. They kept the disc kind of in the middle of the field. They pushed it out to the edges. They didn't just give these power position looks to these big throwers for Indy. And they didn't come away with a turnover, but if they can do more like that, they're going to start to find themselves getting opportunities to get blocks.
Garrett Pogg on the sideline. What are you hearing?
To eat up it. Nate Busberg, head coach of the Indianapolis AlleyCats, is telling his team to eat up as much clock as possible on offense. We saw one deep shot on that last offensive play, but going forward, I imagine him to try to steal as much clock as possible.
William Wettenkel read that disc better, and to Sample's credit, it was underthrown. Indy a chance to extend the lead to 8. And Nate Busberg takes the timeout with 5:24 to play. Timeout stops the clock, but the AlleyCats are cruising right now. Coming into this game just 2-5 and 0-3 against the Radicals. They look like a different team tonight. And we asked Busberg earlier this week about his level of disappointment. He said, honestly, we're kind of on track to where I thought we could be. Let's eavesdrop on the huddle.
On the back line? Okay, that's what we did pregame. Just know the motion has to start, right? Dominator. You're a dominator. All right, go Pharaoh. Hey, we're doing the Pharaoh. I'm over here. I'm going to slash. I'll be with you.
So while there's certainly frustration for the Cats, they haven't hit the panic button at all, and this is the type of performance that they've been building to. Now, can they convert out of a timeout?
Well, I was going to say, there's still some little tests to pass along the way here, and here's the first one. Busberg said they're 0 for their last 8 out of timeouts in these situations. They're going with a slightly different lineup than their typical O-line. You see Wettengale still out there. Let's see how they handle the situation.
Elliot Hawkins forces Jack Gall to make a leaping grab. Wettengale into a tight space, throws it away. And then he gets it right back. Oh, Wettengale making amends. And then Elliot Hawkins hammer for Cameron Brock. It is Indy's night at Breese Stevens Field.
Welcome to the show. Elliot Hawkins doing it again. He's not going to finish with 15 assists tonight, probably.
He's got 3 here this quarter.
You can see why he is one of the most exciting young players in the league. And Wettengale obviously has the turnover, but 2 blocks on the point to set up another break. And this is just, we're at the circus right now. I mean, this is wild. I'm not sure that Bussberg's going to stick with the plan to not just put the O-line out there. I mean, I think he's overthinking it when their O-line hasn't given up the disc at all. The only 2 turnovers, both in the first quarter, nothing since. And then they go with something a little, you know, they go with the B lineup, and then Wettengale is the one that turns it over. But hey, Wettengale then immediately gets it back.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you put him out there, in case there is a turnover.
They got to convince Wettengale to play every point like he just threw a turnover. Because he is one of the elite defenders, especially for his age in our sport. And I don't usually like to throw that out there by saying he's one of the, because that could mean one of 50. But he's one of the 5 greatest defenders for his age, and he may be the best of them all. 21 and under defenders.
It's hard to come up with many players that you'd put above him, that's for sure.
It's interesting to see the New York Empire add as a great leaping catch near the sideline by Sam Stark.
Wow.
Did not think that was going to work when it went up. Stark with a rare moment for the Radicals on a night when their highlights have been few and far between, especially since the start of the second quarter. But I was going to say, Charlie, it was nice to see, or interesting to see the New York Empire add the Ulti-World College Defender of the Year. UMass's Nima Lamo was in the lineup for the Empire for the first time on Wednesday night.
Yeah, see if he makes the 20 in the postseason.
Ethan Lehman was playing as well. There could be a lot of UMass flavor in a Boston-New York playoff game down the stretch.
For sure, and you know, Lehman's such a talent. He could play on O or D for them. Lamo, for sure, a D-line guy, and just had an amazing college championships. And New York's thinking about the postseason, you know, whether they have to host the first round or they get to host the second rounds.
Well, the irony is thinking about a possible Boston-New York matchup in the East title game. And we mentioned earlier, Boston needs to win at Minnesota next week to likely be the host, assuming New York runs the table. That would include a win at Toronto, which is certainly no given. They lost at Toronto last year. How important is home field advantage? During the regular season, the road team won both games in the Boston-New York rivalry.
I think it's more about not having to play DC. You don't want to play DC. You might feel like you're the favorite, but the Breeze are absolutely capable of upsetting either of those teams. I think it's more about that than it is about home field.
Breeze victorious tonight, 21-17 in Philadelphia. One more win against the Phoenix, and the Breeze will lock up the second seed. There's assist number 8 for Elliot Hawkins tonight against the Radicals, and Cam Brock is just enjoying the show.
I mean, it's crazy. He's like, well, I'll just run over here, and there it'll be. Cam Brock, what a great red zone player. I mean, he has just got a nose for the end zone and has for his entire career. I think it's likely his goal lead whenever he decides to retire will never be broken. It's hard to imagine how it would. because, you know, he's played for so many years, and he played in an era where there was a lot more scoring in the league because of the rules on the clock.
And here's the thing, it's not like he's, you know, 39 or 40 or 41. He's just 37. He'll be 38 in November.
And he clearly can still play this role.
Got 5 goals tonight, giving him 681 in his career. And he also has 1 assist tonight, so 6 scores in the evening. He's just 10 scores away from 1,000 in his illustrious, legendary career. Vortic. And Madison converts. Less than a minute off the clock. That not only do they need to score, but they need to score quickly on offense to get the D-line back out there to give themselves any chance of a comeback.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine where the comeback comes from, the way this Indy team is playing, but Madison has certainly found a way. They have been the much better team in the clutch in their matchups this season with Indy.
Hey, Charlie, former New York Empire championship winning co-head coach and current Indy coaching consultant Charlie Hoppus asks via text, how many goals would Cam Brock have scored if he played his whole career with Elliot Hawkins and Jake Felton?
Oh boy. Gonna get to the 1,000 club.
Hawkins is at 8 assists. Jake Felton, who had 5 assists in the second quarter, has not tossed a score here in the third yet. But Madison still doesn't have a single break. They're 0 for 2. Will this create the third chance? No. Mass hammer hauled in by Gudeman, who's been described by his coaching staff as the consummate competitor. They love his passion and will to win, and some contact created, and one referee has it one way, the other calls it on Gudeman, and they're going to call it against Indy. Kanaki with a smile on his face because he knows he was being very physical as well. Felton looking for his first assist of the second half, and he finds Hawkins cross field.
It's just pure razzle dazzle from this team the whole game.
Third goal of the night for Elliott.
You gotta love it. I mean, even if we just get garbage time in the fourth quarter, let's just watch these guys cook. Their only 2 turnovers came on the 3rd point of the game from their O-line. Of the 2-1 point, they had 2 turns. Hawkins threw it away, and then Felton threw it away. The O-line has not turned it over again in the game. This is an incredible performance from this O-line, and these super high difficulty shots.
And
our main goal is to throw that. But great fucking throw nonetheless. Hey.
Wants more from the team.
Well, yes, and what I was thinking was, you know, they've carved up Chicago in their 2 home games against the Union. Against the Radicals, Madison's defense is not what it used to be, but stylistically it gave the AlleyCats some trouble in the first 3 meetings. Not tonight. Not at all. That pull way out of bounds. McCoskey will center for Madison. '19-year-old Kai Creed on the mark. Kai's played almost every game this season. He's clearly been a top D-line guy for the AlleyCats. Been quiet night so far for Kai, but he's going to be a good player. Really committed, bought in. He's already got 31,000 Instagram followers, and he's just 19 years old. He's putting himself out there in ways that we don't often see. I mean, remember Seattle's Khalif El Salam when he was 19, 20, 21, said, I want to be the best player in the world. That's the mission Kai Creed is on, and he's documenting his journey every day. McCoskey to Vortic. Every Radical score right now feels like a yeah, but situation. Especially when they score on their offense.
Well, you know what's funny about this game is that the Radicals only have 12 turnovers. It's not like it's been some complete disaster performance. It's just that their D-line hasn't been able to do anything against Indy.
Yeah.
So as their O-line has coughed it up, they've just been punished pretty consistently. I mean, Indy's converting at a 64% clip. They're 7 for 11 on break chances. And with Madison having absolutely zero, it means that we're in a blowout. And, you know, if you're Madison and you come out of this game, assuming that they go on to lose, you're definitely thinking about what do we need to do differently when we see them again in the postseason.
Jacob Spiro, the Radicals coach, told us yesterday that he felt this game was very important, not necessarily for playoff positioning, but for the mentality that both these teams would bring into the playoffs. Final seconds of the third. Felton shot, ripped down by James Pollard at the buzzer. Indy strikes again. Wettengel chirping at Max Sample. Looks reasonably friendly as they walk off the field side by side with one another. But Felton goes over the heavy traffic and Pollard cleans up the trash, and Indy wins that third quarter 8-5 and takes an 8-goal lead into the fourth. AlleyCats were 0-3 against the Radicals, but they are on their way to their first win against Madison. A convincing 3 quarters from Indy. The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at VKTRY.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at DrinkDelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebrations. Find yours at TwoTownCiderHouse.com. And Disket. Round Net meets Ultimate. Disket is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at DisketGame.com.
Well, 20-year-old Elliot Hawkins has been on a mission tonight as he has dialed up dime ball after dime ball, caught a couple of scores of his own. Already 8 assists, and almost every one of them a highlight. Just an incredible throwing performance from one of the most exciting players in the league, and he's got Indy out to a big lead going into the fourth quarter. They're up 8.
Hawkins coming into tonight had just 3 assists in his one game that he played against Madison. Also had 7 turnovers that night. Tonight, 8 assists, 2 turnovers. He has figured out how to slice and dice the Radicals just like he did the Union. And has turned into a really gorgeous evening here in the capital city of Ultimate. We joke about that catchphrase, Charlie, but after I landed last night, parked near the hotel, went for a stroll, literally the first person I walked by was wearing a Radicals hat. That's why they call this the capital city of Ultimate.
I told my Uber driver why I was here, and he was like, oh, I was just checking them out. They also have a couple soccer teams that play at that stadium. It's like, we're in Madison right now.
Radicals, ever since their inception, have had a great fan base, great support in this relatively small but dynamic city of Madison on the Isthmus here in Wisconsin. Charlie, I might skip post-game cheese curds tonight because I had cheese curds last night for dinner and today again for lunch.
Well, I haven't had any yet, Evan, so we're ordering them.
I'll let you have most of them.
I know you're still going to have some. You're obligated.
It'll be hard to not. Eric Scherstrom over to Ian McCoskey. Here's Gabe Vordick. And there's Jack Gall.
Jack Gall quietly having a really nice game.
I beg your pardon, that's Avi Gitterman. I think I've misidentified him as Gall a couple times. That's Avi Gitterman flying through for the block. Came into tonight with 0 blocks on the season. That's his first block as a pro.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot for Busberg. I think he's not going to call a timeout here. I think you want to see if this D-line can go score a point.
Well, it helps that Eric Scherstrom took an injury and Indy was able to get Elliot Hawkins out on the field. He's going deep right now. So here's Carson Chamberlain in the backfield. Branson played 1 year with Salt Lake last season. Ironically, they were teammates, or Branson and Brock were teammates in Indy. Then they both went to championship weekend last year with different teams. Now they're both back with the AlleyCats. Here's Elliot Hawkins looking for assist number 9 of the night. Not going to get it with this throw. Wettengel playing D-line tonight for the first time this season. He's still got 3 assists and 5 blocks. And now we get the AlleyCats timeout. There's only one person in the game with more than 1 block, Charlie, and it's Wettengel, who's got 5. The Radicals as a team have just 2.
A little interaction here, Gutowski and Wettengel. It's for the second time Wettengel catches the disc in midfield, and immediately the timeout comes.
Which is, I'm going to have Elliot come across, and they're going to have William come down. Hey, we'll run 50. Over here, they're going to come across.
Hey, do we want to let William catch it up and stuff run down?
No. William, you do this. I want you to stop your cut halfway through and come back and be William's continue. Okay. Does this make sense? And then we're off the back. Hey, we're going to William here, yeah? Yeah. Where are you?
So again, we get this hybrid lineup out there, and they're kind of calling the play for Wettengel. Be interesting to see how this works coming out of the timeout. Of course, last time we were in this spot, Indy turned it over. Wettengel then got an incredible block to set up a break.
AlleyCats throughout this whole season have had moments of excellence, but they have not been complete games by any stretch, and Wettengel just butterfingers that one to the ground.
Well, the play worked perfectly, Evan, but you got to catch it.
Minor details. And now the Radicals take their penultimate timeout, stopping the clock with 9:23 to play. And Indy leading by 8. I don't think there was any world where Jacob Spyro pondered that his team would be down this many goals with 9 minutes to play tonight. The Radicals, through the years, have been a team that have kind of prided themselves. We don't get blown out. We play close games with everybody.
Oh, that's because they've had a great defense. And the defense just hasn't been good enough tonight. They played lackluster from an effort standpoint in the first half. And they're also just having a hard time dealing with the quality of thrower that Indy is able to put out there point after point in these still conditions. And when that happens and your O-line coughs it up 10+ times, you're going to end up in a situation where all of a sudden you're facing a huge deficit, and it's probably out of reach at this point unless Indy goes on to an epic collapse.
McCoskey will initiate out of the timeout, marked by Creed. And Madison goes nowhere. Easily intercepted by Wall. Creed to Wettengel, looking for his 4th assist of the night. He'll reset for Blaylock. Wettengel to Little, milks it and scores again. Yikes.
I mean, and it's not about tonight, Evan. It's about, you're starting to think, you're standing on that Madison sideline, you're thinking about the playoff matchup, and like, uh-oh, what are we going to do? How do we counteract what they're able to do? Because I think you're seeing tonight that Indy's willing to work different ways, and they have the threat of being able to hit those deep shots that makes them much more dangerous than the Radicals offense, which doesn't really have that at their disposal all that often.
A team that's 2-5, tied for 3rd with Pittsburgh. AlleyCats and Thunderbirds play twice in the final 2 weeks of the season, Saturday the 11th, and then Friday night, 6 days later on the 17th.
Pittsburgh plays Minnesota this weekend. You figure they're going to lose that game, go to 2-6. So AlleyCats going to move to 3-5 most likely and have a clear path to the 3 seed.
Assuming they don't stumble in Chicago. But even if they do, if Pittsburgh loses at Minnesota, they're still in position. Assuming they can beat the Thunderbirds. They have not played them yet this season. Carrico launches for Chun Moy, and it's blocked nicely by Blaylock. Wettengel has been really valuable for this Indy D-line. Facilitating breaks, making tough grabs. And as I mentioned earlier, he's got 5 blocks. Are the AlleyCats really going to take a 10-goal lead here? This is Gall on the doorstep. Creed bumped within 10 yards of the end zone. AlleyCats will have it centered on the doorstep. What a performance it has been for the Indianapolis AlleyCats. But hang on a second. Madison's walking off the field as if it's a goal, and apparently it is.
Great deep defense. And then Indy just marches it down the field with the D-line. And they punch in another score, another break. 8 for 14 on break chances. Madison's D-line has not forced a turnover from the Indy offense since the 3rd point of the game. I mean, if you just dropped in on this game, and this is your first time watching an Indy-Madison game, and I told you that Madison was 3-0 against Indy this season, you wouldn't believe me. It's been a complete mismatch tonight.
And it's about Indy finding their form. It's also about Madison. The Radicals' biggest loss ever by margin was 11 on June 25th, 2022 against Minnesota. That's the only game in the 190 games they've played that they've lost by double digits ever. And Indy's got the disc to take an 11-goal lead right here. Nelson shaken up. He'll take an injury.
Well, at this point, if you're Madison, anybody who's a little banged up, get them out of the game. I mean, you got to be thinking about just licking your wounds and regrouping, because you're not going to get back in this one.
Charlie, you said off the air before the game that you thought Indy was going to win tonight, but you didn't think it would be by this margin.
No.
This is
and
really
to have this,
astonishing.
The amount of risk being taken by the Indy O-line with their throws to have only 2 turnovers. I mean, this is as good as it gets. It feels like we're back watching the AlleyCats playing indoors. That's how good the throwing has been tonight from Elliott Hawkins, Jake Felton, and really the whole team.
And the Radicals D-line may need to activate Andrew Meshnick from the coaching staff and Kevin Pennant-Scantling from the crowd and Peter Graffey from wherever he's at right now to add some spark into the D-line. Because Madison's defenders are just getting sliced and diced. 11-goal lead for the AlleyCats. It's been fireworks from the visitors.
You know, the risk for the Radicals is that they write this off as just a low energy showing. You know, we dominated this team. We kind of came in flat. We weren't focused, and that may be true. But it would be a mistake not to learn from this game and spend the next 3 weeks heading into the postseason thinking about what you're going to do to try to counteract this Indy offense and how are you going to take them out of rhythm. Because they have not done that tonight. They've given up power position hucks over and over again. They've been getting beaten deep over and over again. They've been letting Bontom and Cam Brock be open in space. And you just can't do that. You can't let their goal scorers be wide open targets for these throwers. And, you know, it feels like we haven't really seen much in the way of adjustments tonight from Madison. Maybe they're saving stuff for the postseason. Maybe we'll see them bring a zone out in the playoffs or some wrinkles that Indy hasn't seen. I mean, they would certainly do that. But this is a sobering performance tonight from the Radicals.
Sobering, humbling. We'll see whether it's devastating. Katowski, who's been silent tonight, finally makes an impact and skies for the score. 5:58 to go.
Finally, something for the Madison crowd to cheer about.
I mean, let's not forget that this is a Madison team from 2013 to 2018, their first 6 seasons, went 86-15. In those 6 years, they had 10 playoff wins. Since the start of 2019, they've gone 44-39. That does not include tonight. They're going to drop to 44-40. They've only had 1 playoff win since the start of 2019. AlleyCats have been to championship weekend more recently than the Radicals. Elliott Hawkins chewing up more deep yards, and another hammer assist to Sofiane Bontemps. But hang on a second. The officials have called a travel on Hawkins, and he's going to get the disc back, and he's going to have to throw another assist. And he throws instead his 3rd turnover of the night. And Madison gives it right back. Carrico misfires, looking for Kanaki near the sideline. Felton, quick look at the end zone, then dish back to Mast. Smart play, chew up some more clock. Hawkins does get his 9th assist of the night after all. Along with 3 goals and over 700 yards, Elliot Hawkins making a case for all UFA.
No doubt. It's going to have to keep it going, but the quality is obvious. And to do what he's doing, 32 completions, almost 700 yards, 9 assists, and just 3 turnovers. It's incredibly impressive. Yeah, and I want to...
And Felton's got 8 assists too.
Yeah, and I was just going to talk about Jake Felton. I was talking to Busberg before the game, and he said, we're putting Jake Felton in the fire seat. We're telling him he's got to be the energy guy. If our O-line needs a boost, you got to be the one to make it happen. Because they want to see more from Felton after the turnover. Now, the thing is, the O-line hasn't turned it over hardly at all. So there hasn't been a whole lot of opportunities for that. But I think he's playing with more good decision-making than we've seen from him at any point this season. He has just 1 turnover on his 27 completions.
And it was early. And here's another steal. Branson intercepts, working with Gitterman. And Mason catches it. It might have been deflected by McCoskey. And that's the type of night the Radicals are having. Radicals are in danger of their worst loss in franchise history. 191 games.
It's hard to believe. But it's also hard to remember a defensive performance this lackluster from a Radicals team in UFA history. I do not recall a game with this level of poor defense.
You know, I remember their championship season. They got absolutely blasted by the Flyers in an interdivisional game. It was College Nationals weekend, I think. I remember driving from Milwaukee, where College Nationals was, coming for the Radicals Flyers game, really excited about a great game, and it was a rout. And of course, that was exactly what that Madison team at the time needed, and they regrouped and went on to win a championship. You wonder if this can be a catalyst toward change, innovation. Because the level that they've shown tonight is a recipe for a first-round exit.
I think it's fair to say Indy's, kind of hitting on everything tonight. They're having an above-level game where they've been having below-level games earlier this season.
Yeah. Indy had 3 Huck turnovers in the first quarter. They only have 1 since. They're 11 of 15 on their Hucks for the night.
Yeah, but they've been good choices, and in these conditions, good throwers can hit these shots. The thing is, even if Indy comes back down to earth a little bit, this game is still a blowout. They win by 6 instead of by 12. So Madison's got to get in the film room and figure out what they want to try to do about Elliot Hawkins and Jake Felton.
Little holstered on the initial fake and then lets it rip. Carrick goes there defensively and he swats it down. Clock continues to tick as Wettengel flies through. It's his 6th block of the night. I think this Wettengel on D-line thing's going to stick.
Yeah. No one else on the team has more than 1 block.
And with the fireworks going off in the background, the AlleyCats have put 30 on the hometown Radicals. My goodness.
Did we go in the portal and we're in Indianapolis? They got the celebratory fireworks going off right behind the stadium. Wettengel with a monster night, despite a couple turnovers. And this is just... This game was over at halftime, but Madison has completely given up. And Shout out to the Madison fans who've mostly stuck it out despite their team getting blitzed.
Charlie, William Wettengel is the second guy in the UFA this season to get 6 blocks in a game. Oakland Spiders rookie Max Zwerin, in just his second UFA game ever, had 6 blocks against a Colorado team that was on the second night of a back-to-back. But this is more impressive on a relatively low turnover night. I mean, Madison's got 20 turns, but Indy's still in single digits with 8. 6-1 Cats here in the 4th as they've continued to push. Their foot's on the gas, and the Radicals, you can just see from their body language and their performance, they are not here anymore. Their 11-goal loss in 2022 was in Minnesota. They had never lost by double digits on this field to anybody before tonight, but it is now part of the team's history. This proud tradition here in the capital city of Ultimate, having their worst night ever
against the team that they're going to need to beat to advance to the Central Division playoff game in most likelihood.
Noah Chunmoy lays out. It's ruled incomplete, and that layout may not have been worth it for Noah. He's been dealing with a right shoulder injury throughout the season, and this is a recipe for pain.
Yeah, right on that shoulder, and you can see he's just not 100%. He's just not 100%. Last time he laid out in the first half, he had to come off the field, and this one's even worse.
You admire the effort. I'm not surprised that he laid out, but when that throw went up, I'm like, no, just let it hit the ground. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I question whether he should even be playing right now if he's at the point where a layout could cause him that kind of pain.
Crossfield hammer finds the turf. We tick toward 1 minute to play. And the Radicals do punch in their 18th goal of the night. And on most nights here in Madison, 18 goals is good enough. Not even close. Yikes. Remember, Friday Night Frisbee was flexed from Minnesota to Madison because we were certain that this would be the better game. Shows what we know.
Chicago is playing tighter with Minnesota right now.
Wind chill by 8 with 2 minutes to go in St. Paul.
I think this has been an important game to feature this week, though, Evan, on Friday Night Frisbee. I mean, obviously, we'd all love to see a close game go to overtime, but this is Indy announcing themselves in the 2026 season. We haven't seen it yet, and now we have, and they did it against a team that they're going to need to beat in the postseason. And they got work left to do. They got to go in. They got to beat Chicago. They've got 2 games against Pittsburgh. If they go lay an egg against Chicago, this weekend's going to feel like a bit of a failure, to be honest, despite this big win. So they got to go and beat a Chicago team that they are definitely better than as well. But what a show here tonight from the AlleyCats.
They do expect to add Xavier Payne on Sunday against the Union, his former team. Buckingham still bidding, but the AlleyCats are still cooking. Elliot Hawkins with the exclamation point. The Indy onslaught continues.
Well, just to, dropping the double-digit assist game on him. 10 burger.
Well, he caught the goal here. So he's still got 9 assists, but that's his 4th goal.
Yes, sir.
So Bontemps, 5 goals, 2 assists.
Make it the +10 burger, Evan.
Indeed. You know how Monday Night Football for years, like tracks stats just on Monday Night Football? There's something about Friday Night Frisbee for Elliot Hawkins. 15 assists back in week 6. And here 5 weeks later in Madison, 9 assists, 3 goals, 723 total yards. He's got a 300-300 game, over 300 yards, both throwing and receiving. He's over 400 throwing. And he is far from the only AlleyCat who's had a standout evening. Indy lost their first game of the year against Madison by 1. They lost another 1-goal game against the Radicals and lost by 4 this past Saturday. There's the 7th assist of the night for William Wettengel. And the Indianapolis AlleyCats finish off the biggest beatdown of the Radicals at Breese Stevens Field we've ever seen. 31-18. AlleyCats by a baker's dozen at Breese.
William Wettengel now has the single season lead here in 2026 for blocks. And that's a top 20 block showing all time in the UFA, getting to 7. And everybody contributed tonight. This was Indy showing us what they've got. And you can understand how this was a bit of a trap game for Madison after dominating this Indy team. But now they look like the ones that are trapped.
Charlie, I think the question that I'll ask you post-game, can this version of Indy beat Minnesota? That's a question that we will ponder over the next few weeks, and we'll see if the AlleyCats can repeat this type of performance. The fireworks were all from the AlleyCats. We're back to wrap it up in just a moment.
This summer, Ultimate takes over the world. From the rising stars of World Junior Ultimate Championships to the seasoned battles of the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships to the biggest stage in Club Ultimate, the World Ultimate Club Championships. Watch it all unfold live, exclusively on Ultiworld.
Complete domination tonight from the visiting Indianapolis AlleyCats at Breese Stevens Field. Indy had lost their last 7 meetings with the Radicals, 3 straight this season. They were just 7-30 all time against these Radicals. And yet tonight, their offense cooks to the tune of only 3 turnovers. Madison goes 0 for 3 on break chances, Charlie. Whereas the AlleyCats get 12 breaks, complete 11 hucks, and absolutely steamroll the team that they had lost to 3 times already this season.
It is unbelievable. I mean, 0 for 3 D-line conversions for the Radicals. I guarantee you that's never happened. They've never only gotten 3 chances in league history. I don't even need to look it up. I know it's never happened before. The Radicals have been one of the defensive teams in this league, the best defenses year after year after year, and they got just rocked tonight. And credit to Indy. I mean, this is the first time that they have scored 30 points on a road game against anybody besides Detroit, the now defunct Detroit Mechanics.
Yeah.
So this is one of the great Indy games of all time.
No
in
doubt.
the same way it's one of the worst Madison games of all time.
If these teams meet again 3 weeks from now, you wonder, will the teams regress to their means, or has Indy found something both about themselves and within this matchup?
Clearly, it's going to be closer, but I think you see tonight that Indy has a decisive edge.
All right. Our Delta difference maker is William Wettengel. His team just mauled him, but he wasn't on camera yet. Indy needs to work on their... All right. William Wettengel, are you all right over there? What just happened?
They just, like, attacked me, dude. I don't know.
Well, 7 blocks for you tonight. It takes a lot to have, one guy on your team have 9 assists, another have 8, and we're talking to a guy from the D-line, but your D-line was dominant. How did you come in here and dominate this team that you had lost to 3 times?
We played a team game. I mean, I got 7 blocks, but I'm sure like 20 other players got like 3 or 4 blocks. So I mean, we did that as a team. I just try to play defense. I expected 8, so I'm only getting 7 right now, so that's kind of sad.
William, when you see the O-line play at the level it did tonight, just 3 turnovers, you've been on the O-line at points. You played some offense tonight, of course. Why is it working so much better than it did earlier in the season?
Because I'm off the O-line. Dude, I know like 7 blocks is crazy, but I mean, our O-line is the true like MVP of the night. I mean, 18 for 18 on holds is so insane. I mean, they kept putting me out there on defense to, do the easy work and get blocked. So I do got to give a huge shout out to the O-line. I mean, Jake Felton played out of this world. Elliot Hawkins always plays out of this world. Everyone else, Sophia Montoms, Cam Brock, John Mass, Carter Hawkins, I got to name everyone, but they played really well.
Well, your team made a statement tonight. I mean, this is what you guys had in mind when you put all these pieces together in the preseason, and then you lose 5 of your first 7. But what do you think this proves about your team's ceiling going forward?
Yeah, this proves that when we play to our ceiling, dude. I mean, I think we can beat any team in the league. It's just we've had a tough time finding that ceiling, and we've been staying towards the floor in earlier games that just didn't go our way. I mean, we lost to Madison on basically what it is, Universe Point, twice earlier in the season. Like I was very optimistic after those games because a lot of those games we didn't have Elliot Hawkins, we don't have Xavier Payne. I'm praying that Keegan North gets healthy. We're still looking to see him. So I think we're just on an upward trajectory, and the sky's the limit.
Does a performance like this tonight make you think you can win the Central Division?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Minnesota's a great team, so like it's going to be tough. Like we know that going to Minnesota, it's going to be an uphill battle. Like Paul Krennic, Will Brandt, Justin Burnett. Noah Coleman, like all those are great players. Like they're a huge team of great players. They have a great organization, they've been going to the championship week and they've been in the finals for the past 3-4 years. So it's going to be tough. Like they are the team to beat in the UFA, in my opinion.
One of the bugaboos for your team this year has been executing after timeouts. You had a throwaway after a timeout, and then you went Superman mode and went flying in to get it back. What went off in your mind after you threw that turnover that made you get that block?
It's a good thing they put me on D-line. So, yeah. I just had to get it back. It's unfortunate, but I know that I'm a great defender, and I know that, I can make plays and I can help the team where it's needed. But also, I want to put the team in the best position, to win and play their best. So that was what was going through my head.
All right. Before we let you go, Sunday, you guys go to Chicago. They're a team that you've handled a couple of times, but Madison had handled you a couple of times, and you got them. So, they're hoping to flip it around. What will be the key on Sunday against the Union?
Play like we did tonight. That's, play like we played against them
the past 2 times. It's, you know, they're unfortunately, like, I love Chicago. I love the guys there. I had a great time last season. So, you know, I know that they have the pieces, you know, to pull it out. So we're going to have to be playing at 100% again.
All right, William, congratulations on a great game tonight. Fun to watch from the Indy perspective. You guys handed Madison their worst loss ever.
Dang.
191 games. They had only lost before by double digits once. That was by 11 to Minnesota. You guys beat them by 13.
Yeah, that's electric. I mean, Madison's a team where they're always in it, like throughout the entire game. We've gone up probably every game now against them by 2 or 3. And in the fourth quarter, we're up by 2, and they come back. So I'm glad that we were able to, you know, apply pressure the entire game.
Yeah. Well, you were up by 3 after 1, up 5 at the half, up 8 through 3, and then you win by 13 tonight. Thanks for joining us, William. Best of luck Sunday. We'll see you in the playoffs.
Thank you very much. It's pronounced Wettengel.
Did we say that?
You did.
Okay.
I'm saying for everyone. Wettengel. Not. They said something different today. It's Wettengel. Wettengel.
You scared me. I thought
no, you did it right. I've told you enough, Evan. Nice talking to you. Wettengel. Wettengel.
Thanks, William.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
nice talking
it.
to you. All right. Take care.
I must admit, I've gotten it wrong on the podcast. But
everybody's gotten it wrong. I mean, we've all gotten it wrong. But it is Wettengel. And we got to remember the name because he just became the first player in the UFA this season to get 7 blocks. And who knows, maybe this Indy team can challenge Minnesota. How good are the wind chill? We'll learn a lot more about them next week.
Next week, it's the most anticipated matchup of the season. The 9-1 Boston Glory, the undefeated Minnesota Wind Chill, the last 2 UFA champions in a special Saturday edition of Friday Night Frisbee.
Well, Minnesota wins tonight, so they are now 9-0. The Boston Glory are 9-1 as they head to St. Paul next Saturday. Those 2 teams played right here in the championship game last year, Charlie, in a pretty thrilling title game that went Boston's way. Minnesota's much improved. They had Noah Kuhlman. They had Lucas Ambrose. Gordon Larson's a different player than he was a year ago. Nate DeMorgan joins them. What do you expect next Saturday night?
Fireworks. I mean, I know it's 4th of July weekend, so it's on the mind, but I feel like we've got the 2 best teams in the league going head-to-head in a game that could be a preview of this coming championship. And so I'm really excited. I think, you know, Minnesota, they've been setting records week after week with their attendance. They probably set another record tonight, and I think they're definitely going to set another record with Boston in town. You can't ask for a better matchup in the regular season.
I look forward to reuniting with Ian Toner at Seafoam Stadium next Saturday. And speaking of Toner, you can catch him and Chuck Kindred right now on WatchUFA.tv. Seattle and Colorado from Golden at Marv K Stadium, Cascades and Apex, currently in the 3rd quarter. Charlie's going to go have some cheese curds, and we are going to decompress after a stunning night in Madison. The AlleyCats hand the Radicals their biggest loss by margin of defeat ever. And Indy, who only had 2 wins coming into the night, certainly looked like a contender as we head down the stretch. For our entire crew, for Garrett Pogg on the sideline, and my partner Charlie Eisenhood, Evan Lepler saying good night. Have a happy 4th of July, everybody. Thanks for watching.